Hey everyone and welcome. Today, we're going to shrink down and explore a totally invisible world that is completely changing the food we eat. I'm talking about nanotechnology, this tiny, tiny tech that's having a huge impact on everything from how fresh your veggies are to the safety of your snacks. All right, let's jump right in. It's a wild idea to think about, isn't it? That the biggest changes happening in our food system are on a scale that we literally can't see. But that's the world of nanotechnology. We're talking about scientists working at the atomic level to do some incredible things, like create packaging that tells you when your food is about to go bad, kill bacteria on contact, and even make flavors pop.
So to really get what's going on in our grocery aisles, we have to start with the basics. What exactly is this tiny technology we keep talking about?
Okay, this definition is super important. A nanomaterial isn't just something that's really small. It's something that's been specifically engineered at the nanoscale, which is between 1 and 1,000 nanometers. Now, to put that in perspective for you, a single strand of your hair is about 80,000 nanometers wide. So we are talking incredibly small. And here's the kicker. When materials get that tiny, their properties can completely change. Gold, for instance, isn't always gold-colored at the nanoscale. It can look red or purple. And that change in properties, well, that's where all the magic happens. So why go through all this effort? Well, the list of applications is just massive. We're talking about smart packaging that can literally detect E. coli, or creating stronger plastic wraps that keep oxygen out so your food stays fresh way longer. Nanosensors can spot tiny traces of toxins in milk. It's even used to create these little protective shields for vitamins and other ingredients to make sure they get delivered where they need to in your body. The potential here is just enormous. All right, let's move on. To pull off all those cool things we just talked about, scientists have a whole variety of nanomaterials to work with. You can think of it like a toolkit, right? Where every tiny tool is designed for a very specific job. First up in the toolkit are metals. Things like nanosilver and nanozinc oxide are amazing at killing bacteria and fungi. So by putting these tiny metal particles right into food containers or plastic films, companies can make packaging that actively fights off spoilage. Pretty smart.
Next up, we have carbon-based materials like graphene. You might have heard of this stuff. Graphene is a sheet of carbon that's only one atom thick, and it is unbelievably strong and almost nothing can get through it. So when you use it in packaging, it creates this super powerful barrier against oxygen and moisture, the two biggest enemies of things like potato chips. This can extend their shelf life like you wouldn't believe.
But it's not all about metals and fancy carbon. Some of the most exciting nanomaterials are actually organic and come from nature. Chitosan, for example, comes from shrimp shells. Even plain old starch can be used to make these edible, totally non-toxic films that protect food. It's a really cool, greener way of approaching this tech.
And finally, there's silicon dioxide. And I guarantee you've come across this without even realizing it. In its nano form, it's used as an anti-caking agent, which is just a fancy way of saying it stops your powdered soup or spices from clumping together. It can also help keep things dry or make food colorings brighter and more stable.
Okay, so we've seen all the incredible things this technology can do. But, with any powerful new tool, you've got to ask the important questions about safety. And that brings us to a really critical topic: the rules, the risks, and the regulations.
This is the big one, right? The question that's on everybody's mind. When you're dealing with particles so small they can literally interact with our bodies on a cellular level, you have to be so careful. So how do we make sure all these innovations are actually helping us and not accidentally harming us?
Well, to answer that very question, there's a whole scientific field called nanotoxicology, and it's dedicated to figuring out the potential risks. This quote here really gets to the heart of it. It shows that exposure, whether through eating, breathing, or even just skin contact, could cause harm, depending on the material. And that is exactly why transparency and careful rules are so important. So, to deal with these concerns, experts have laid out a pretty clear path for companies to follow. It all starts with being totally open and transparent about what materials they're using and why. It means putting clear labels on products so that you, the consumer, can make an informed choice. It means publishing the safety data. And, just as crucial, it means protecting the workers who are handling these tiny materials every day. All right, now that we've covered the science and the safety, let's switch gears and look at the business side of things. How does a product using this new tech, or really any new food product, make that long journey from a lab experiment to your local supermarket aisle? It's really a journey that has 4 main stages. It all kicks off with ideation.
That's the aha moment, the spark of a new idea. Then you move into formulation, which is all about perfecting the recipe. After that, there's processing, where you figure out how to make a whole lot of it. And finally, you get to commercialization, the big launch out into the world.
Now, this whole process isn't just random, it's super structured, and a lot of companies use something called a stage and gate system. Now, this diagram might look a little complicated, but the idea is simple. Think of it like a series of filters or checkpoints. At each gate, the idea gets a tough evaluation. Is it doable? Can we make money on it? Do people actually want this? And if it doesn't pass the test, it gets cut before any more time and money is spent on it.
And just to give you a sense of how selective this whole thing is, a company might start this journey with a whole bunch of concepts. We're talking something like 12 to 15 different initial ideas for a new product.
So after going through all of those gates, all the research, all the testing, all the analysis, out of those 12 to 15 starting ideas, guess how many actually make it all the way to the end? Yeah, only 1 or 2. This whole system is designed to make sure only the absolute best, most viable products actually end up on store shelves.
That final stage, commercialization, is really where everything comes together. And it's about so much more than just the food. This is when you're designing the package that's going to catch your eye on the shelf, creating the label with the logo and the nutrition facts, locking in the final price, and of course, developing all the ads and marketing to let the world know it's here.
And one of the most critical steps in this whole thing, especially when you're using new tech like nano packaging, is the shelf life assessment. Now, this is not a guess. It's a full-on scientific process to figure out exactly how long a product is safe to eat and still looks, tastes, and feels the way it's supposed to. It's all about ensuring both safety and quality for all of us.
So, we've seen how nanotechnology has this incredible promise for making our food safer, fresher, and better. But we've also seen why we need to be really careful and think about the risks. And it all kind of boils down to this one big question, right? As this powerful, invisible technology becomes a bigger and bigger part of our lives, how do we strike the right balance between pushing forward with amazing new innovations and making sure our food system stays safe and transparent for everyone? It's a huge conversation, and honestly, it's one that's really just getting started.